What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoins today. It's the 21st day of April. Here we are, sitting at about $76,000 with roughly 11 hours left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it, okay? The ceasefire between Iran and the United States ends today officially once the day closes. So in the next 10 hours, 56 minutes, that's whenever the ceasefire ends. Things might ramp up, or perhaps we'll hear about a new deal being made, something like that. Maybe it'll happen exactly how it happened last time, where there will be imminent threats being promoted, and then on that final hour of the threat being exacted from the United States to Iran, maybe that's whenever we will hear news of a deal, or perhaps right before this ceasefire is formally supposed to come to an end, we will hear of an extension of this ceasefire. We'll see. We'll see. I know that President Trump had a phone call interview or something like that with CNBC today, I think. I'm pretty sure. Um, let's see if there's anything. I'm not seeing anything here. I don't know if the whole interview is out yet, but we'll probably see that here soon. Yeah, okay, President Trump on there. It did come out, I think. I've yet to watch it myself, but I do want to watch it. Anyways, getting into this, getting away from the Iran conflict, because at the end of the day, this stuff really doesn't matter for the price of Bitcoin. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but the conflict started here on the 28th of February. We moved up, we moved down, we moved up, we moved down, we moved up. Probably going to move down. We haven't broken out to the upside. We haven't broken out to the downside. This conflict doesn't really matter. We've just continued to move sideways. And we're at the upper limits of sideways right now. The main thing is getting away from the news, the technical analysis, the TA, what the charts are telling us. And if we look at this here on the daily time frame, you can see that we went all the way up to about 76.9K. I did make the call down here literally at the lows, saying that we would go up to 77K over the next 72 hours. I still believe that we will go above 77K. We might even go above 80K. I am skeptical to believe that we will go above this high. But if we do, I do accept the possibility of it. If we do go above this high here, we likely see a slightly higher high. I mean, maybe it's something like this. That seems a bit extreme. 74K up to 76K. I don't think that we're going to push that much higher up, but I could see a slightly higher high, something like that, where like in comparison to one of these highs right here, from like this high to any of these subsequent highs that were slightly higher, something like that over the next day or so, maybe even by the end of today. I want to look at the short term stuff. Let's see what we're going for here. Let's see. Let's take a gander. Looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, the RSI is reluctant to get overbought. It's like it wants to. You've got the attempts here multiple times, but you're just not doing it. It's not encouraging. That's not something that you want to see. Um, Trying to move up higher here, not a lot of volume coming in. It's pre-market hours. We typically make these moves on the 14th, 15th hour. Maybe it just takes a second for this narrative, this Trump narrative, this Trump interview narrative to really kick off, and people are making bets on that. Maybe we have to wait until market open, which, if I'm not mistaken, should be. Is it this hour or next hour? I forget when the market. It's 7:30 in the morning for me, but I think because of the time change now it's 8:30 in the morning. I'm not 100% sure. Or does that change? What? Let's see. When does, it's a hell of a look for Madonna there. When does the U.S. stock market open? Looks like a very like protrusive brow. Her eyes are being shaded by her forehead there. I don't know. It's not a good look, I don't think. But again, I'm an analyst. I'm not a fashion person. Anyways, let's see. 9:30 Eastern time. So that would be 7:30 here. So that for me would be this hour. Okay. So we should get some movement here over this hour, the next hour, stuff like that. Anyways, 1 hour RSI. You're at the same area you were to bounce last time. Maybe you bounce here. Rejecting the overbought zone is not necessarily encouraging, but as long as we are not getting oversold from here, as long as we're still like holding support in this general area, I would even say if we go down to the 40 level, that's okay as well. And with that, maybe forming a higher low still, or a barely lower low, something in this area for price as well. I think that we're fine. But if we can bounce here and make our way up to that overbought zone, I mean, it's just one of these times, man. We're knocking on the door. It's gonna break through eventually, and whenever it breaks through, we should be breaking out higher. And breaking out would probably be relevant to this range here. I think we really are about to break out, but again, when we break out, we need volume. Looks like we tried and we didn't have volume here, so we came down. This is pre-market. This is a few hours before the market opened. This is also before the interview happened for Trump about the Iran situation. So let's see if things move up now that we have a little bit of clarity and the markets are opening up. Stochastics are at the 50. The MACD looks bullish as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, not a whole lot to go off of there. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, the RSI does have a bit of a slump look to it. We do have these like lower highs coming in here, and I'm not a fan of that personally, but we rejected here and then rejecting here again. Again, this doesn't to me seem like it doesn't seem like something that would push us down immediately. You know, sometimes you get these double tops and they're relevant, but whenever they're here, whenever they're not in the overbought zone, typically that means you're going to push higher. A double top here is much worse, I think, than a double top here is. But even then, double tops are something to acknowledge. Like that double top is worse. Where here, if you're finding resistance, then you're finding resistance. That's not a bad thing. You actually moved up. Kind of thinking the same thing here. We might move up. We need to get overbought. What we need to do is we need to get overbought. We don't want to reject the overbought zone. We don't want to show weakness where we've shown strength before. We want to get into the overbought zone, show the same strength that we've shown really throughout this whole path moving higher. That's what we want to do. Looking at the stochastics, we've gotten overbought here. Strong readings, at least as far as I'm concerned. And the MACD crossing, bouncing off the zero is also a bullish look. But we're in jeopardy here, guys. If we don't make a move soon, we're in jeopardy of this being a false cross. And if it is a false cross off of this zero, that implies that, well, tomorrow and the next day will likely not be a friendly time in the crypto markets. Bitcoin might drop. Even if we get positive news with the Iran conflict or whatever, like I don't think it really matters. I don't think it affects the price as much as people want it to. Good news might send the price down. Bad news might send the price up, or maybe it does nothing at all. Maybe it's a quick shift, and then we return to normal once the reactors are out of the markets or in the markets, whatever. But 76K right now, my expectation is that we move up higher. I'm sticking with it. I don't see enough yet to suggest that we go lower, but we are precariously placed right now. We really could be on the forefront of moving lower. I'm not expecting that personally, but if we look at this here, Bitcoin futures, just because I'm not expecting us to move down from here, I still am expecting us to move up. Doesn't mean that we have to move up. We absolutely can move down. Come on, futures. You can do it. You can do it. Let's try it on the third tab. This one normally lets me down. Oh, wow. But it was much faster. Oh, now you want to load. We're done with you. The gap. There's multiple gaps, actually. On the daily time frame here, the gap that we formed from last Friday is all the way up at 77.6K. Right now, the futures are at 76.1. We're at 76,000, so we might get up to like 76.6, 78K here. Sorry, 77K on this one. Oh, wait. Yeah, 77.6, 78K. We might see that here while still being at a lower price here. But something above 77K should, I think, incur over the coming hours, over the coming day. We'll see. We still have that gap there, and then there is also this gap here at 84K. Now, I think a lot of people are going to be swayed by this gap. I think a lot of people in the crypto space are going to wait for this gap to fill. They think that they know something that somebody else doesn't know, and that as long as I'm bullish, as long as I'm long here, it doesn't matter what the chart is showing me, I'm going to wait for this gap to fill. And I think there's going to be people that are left waiting, left wanting. I don't even know if we get above this high, but I do assume that we will at least fill the gap that remains between this level here and the current price. I believe that we will fill that gap at least get some type of double top or lower high or slightly higher high, something like that, and then we should be selling off shortly then after. Daily time frame, looking at the RSI, rejecting the overbought zone, never a good thing, but at the same time we've handled it rather well, I think, by holding support here, by holding a higher low in this overall trajectory. I think it looks good. If we're looking at this on the stochastics, you've reset a little bit. You want to perk up here pretty soon. But again, we've been overbought for some time. I think an impending drop is coming. It's something we should be aware of. And the MACD here, there's no bearish divergence yet, but a little bit of a move up might encourage some bearish divergence. Same thing with the stochastic, same thing with the RSI even. So again, the same thoughts that I've had, I mean, really since the 13th of April. We are at the end of this movement. We are. We are definitely at the end of it. Whether this is the high or not, we are in that topping area. Sorry. We're in that topping area where I do expect we will see prices that surge below 70K, if not by the end of April, then between now and the first week of May or the second week of May. I mean, we're going to be on our way down there. I don't expect an end of month pump. I do expect quite the opposite, actually, but we'll see. I don't really have anything else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And again, real quick, I've ended the videos actually with this. I think this is important. Okay, this is important to go over because bull market dynamics are not the same in a bear market. And who's to say that this is a bear market? I mean, technically, if we're in a super cycle, if this is a super cycle, this is phase one. This is our corrective phase. So 1, 2, 3 correction. It's perfect. And now we're about to start phase two, or phase three technically. Phase one, phase two, phase three. Phase three of any wave count is always the largest, most robust wave. Well, I shouldn't say always. It's typically. So if we're not in a bear market, if we're in some type of just correction, then this might not apply. But assuming we are in a bear market, because we do have lower macro lows and lower highs, right? We've even gone below our prior cycle highs. Assuming that we are, and we took out our 50-week EMA and a lot of other signals that typically indicate we are in a bear market. Assuming that we are in a bear market, the last bear market that we had was over here, okay? That was this one right here. And did we get a false cross here? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We had a false cross on the MACD. False crosses, look at this. We're in a bear market, false green cross. We're in a bull market, what do we have here? We had a false red cross. Bearish signals are less reliable in a bull market, just as bullish signals are less reliable in a bear market. So if you're counting on this MACD to tell you that you know something special, just understand, even in a bull market, we can get false crosses. Even in a bull market, let alone in a bear market. And we're actually at some high readings for a bear market. That doesn't increase the probability that this is a real cross. It's just, it depends on what we do. We still have a lot of time left in this week, 5 days, 11 hours left. If we come down and we close this week red after surging above 77K, this will start to kill the momentum, and we will start to look like we're providing a false cross to the upside, and that will encourage selling pressure. The stochastics have reset to the 50. You know, whenever we were here last time, we even crossed above the 50, but still found resistance and still came down. The RSI here was overall in a larger downtrend. It was, and we didn't even touch this trend. But relatively speaking, we kind of broke out of this momentum here, this lower area here. We saw a little bit of a breakout. We broke above the 50. But overall, we were still in a downtrend. Momentarily speaking, sure, we're breaking out of this little trend here, but we're still overall in a downtrend. You see, it's very, very similar stuff. So don't get swayed. Don't get swayed by these weekly reactions, because here we saw very similar things. And we were about halfway through the bear market as far as price goes, as far as price is concerned, and maybe not even then. We still had time to go before that happened. Look, we broke out of our weekly downtrend here by all points and concerns here. We still moved sideways for months before and we even went lower for months before we actually moved higher. We crossed green here on the MACD. We still saw lower prices. We still moved down for months, okay? And then we finally started moving higher. Don't be swayed by this, okay? Don't be swayed by these simple things. These simple things can be indicative of good things to come, but we don't really have confirmation yet. We haven't seen, I don't think we've seen enough to get too excited. I don't think we've seen enough to declare that this is the low. That's my own personal opinion. And I really think that The proof is in the pudding when we look at this daily time frame here. When we look at this chart, we're just still in this consolidation range. Some people want to say that we're breaking out. If you think that we're breaking out, that's fine. Where's the volume? Where's the volume to back it up? We don't have any volume. We don't have any follow through. We're dillying, we're dallying. We are doing basically the exact same thing that we did back here. It's just a larger range, which is exactly what we forecasted to the day that we found our low. The only thing that's changed, my friends, the only thing that's changed here is that because of how high we've gone with this little rally here, and because of what we're seeing with our weekly indicators, we're actually now in a position where we might sell off sooner than I thought we would. I was expecting that we would consolidate for longer. I was expecting that it would go into June or July. We actually, because what I don't believe is that we're going to see from this range, I don't believe that we're going to get a sell in May and go away event. I don't believe that the high is going to come in May. Maybe the selling comes in May, but the high is we're going to look back at it and it'll be April or June. And we've said that before, but I really didn't think that we'd move up here like this. I thought that we would hold this point as resistance. That was the narrative I painted in my head. But no, it didn't work out the way that I thought it would, and that only hastens the need to drop lower, to break out of this range to the downside. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we move down, we move up, we move down, we move up, we get a slightly higher high, and then we sell off. I don't know, but it seems like we are at a point of maturity with this pattern. So not just overall with this phase here do I expect that we'll come down, but, and I'm not saying that I expect we'll break out, but it is something that I am cautious of. We might be ready to break out of this to the downside, and we'll look for those signals. We're going to look for those signals the same way that we looked for them here. Whenever we broke out here, we broke out of this trend, and everyone was saying bear flag, we're moving down. We were saying nope, there's no breakout volume, we're not going down. Whenever we broke out to the upside here, there was no volume there, and that should have been very concerning for anybody who's watching, because once we did break out, once we did break this range here, once we broke out of it here, we didn't have any volume yet, but then volume picked up on this day, and it was from this day forward that anybody and everybody should have been bearish, and that I myself was bearish on the price. We were optimistic at various levels that we might see a bounce soon, but once this day happened, we said sideways. We're moving sideways. These kind of bottoms are very clear whenever you get these big candles like this. People expect that the price will keep moving up in a fast fashion or down in a fast fashion, and we have a polarized market. The most likely thing is we'll move sideways. Which brings me to my ultimate conclusion. I meant to end this video so much sooner than this, but while we're talking about it, why not? The ultimate conclusion here is that we do have a very polarized market still. I mean, we have an insanely polarized market right now. What do I mean by that? I mean, when we see this, all the bulls came out at the top and they're all saying, see, the low is in, bull market on, ha ha, bears, you suck. Whenever we made this little ass move to the downside, and we had a higher low, all the bears said, see, I told you, this is the reckoning, this is the beginning, bull trap activated, and all these things, right? I was bullish at the low, I was bearish at the high, and I was thinking from the high, I was thinking that this was the beginning of it, but then once we saw what happened over the weekend, I literally said here at the top, if you want this move to keep going, or at least not to drop right now, the best thing to do would be to drop over the weekend, and that's exactly what we did. All I'm trying to say is that we're in a very polarized environment right now because people are getting giddy over this little move down, over this little move up. It's as if it validates their bias, and they're grasping at straws to validate that bias. So whenever we are in a heavily polarized market, we typically don't give people a chance to win. We just mess with them. We get messed with. That's what happens. The market makers have their field day. So that's the one thing that kind of actually gives me a little bit of hope that we're not breaking out yet, and that this consolidation phase might last longer. I personally enjoy trading ranges more, consolidation phases more than I enjoy when we're breaking out to the downside or even to the upside. Breaking out to the upside is nice if we're being fair. Everybody's winning. It's happy. The polarization of the market is what's giving me a little bit of faith that we still have some time left in this consolidation range. But at the end of the day, we are reaching maturity. We have been doing this now for quite the while. We could do it for quite the while more. We'll see, guys. Time will tell. 74 days so far in this range. We continue to come down. I mean, it'll be in May. Even if we were to break out now, it'd probably be in May that we break out of this range, if not June or July, depending on how things go down. And that would definitely take us, past like 80, 85 to like 90 days, maybe even more within this range before we actually break out. So it's been a good old time, but things are getting a little bit more dicey as time goes on. I'm going to stop talking. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Just be cautious. Be cautious of your bias. Try to look for things that could argue against your bias, and don't just like look for silly things. Like try to think, what does the other side think? What is the other side seeing here that I might not be seeing because I'm bullish, or what is the other side seeing that I'm not seeing here because I'm bearish? Try to think like that, because really we're just moving sideways. We're moving sideways overall, and whether you're bullish or bearish here, I don't think it matters. We're likely going to move down. We will likely go below 69K, and it's at this point that we will decide: are we breaking out, or are we faking out and then coming back up? Are we going to move higher, find resistance at prior support, and then move down and then break out at a later date? It'll be somewhere down in this area that we decide that, and the volume will be crucial in identifying that momentum. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.